So you can start with just Chrome,
Okay.
and it should just take you right
Okay.
back
Got
there.
it.
Awesome. If you need me, I'm out here.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's say I'm going to do a research paper on let's say the let's say performance enhancing drugs, considering the recent issues with the Russian Olympic team. So my first thing that I would do is I am a Google person, so I will go to Google first, and I will type in performance. Yeah. Actually, what I would do is type in PED, since that seems to be. And first place I would start, I would, believe it or not, um, I would actually go to Wikipedia because, in my opinion, if I go to that first, that will kind of set me in some different directions that I may not have thought of before. I already have the definition, so I don't need to go to um, a dictionary, which I probably would eventually. But for now, I would go to PED, which would give me a general overview of the topic, um, and kind of set me into another location. However, the Wikipedia information is extremely limited, but it does say performance enhancing drugs. So I would actually read through this. And at the same time, I would probably take notes and look up special certain words that also may lead me to something else. Um, I guess what I might want to do is think about um, writing about perhaps the emergence of PEDs within the last, let's say, 20 years, well, let's say 30 years. And I may also start to narrow that down into, let's say, PEDs in the Olympics. Um, so that's kind of where I would go. I think the primary one that people have talked about the most would be anabolic drugs, which are steroids, and then also lately another new thing deals with blood doping. And as we see down here, usage in sports, I would read that article. Due to the fact that um, my search skills recently have primarily been based within Google, I would stay within that realm. As far as me searching library sources, I have absolutely zero idea how to do that. And as far as citing sources and all that other kind of stuff in MLA format and so on and so forth, it's been when I started doing this, I was with the Dewey Decimal System. So this whole process of using computers and using word processors to cite sources and plug sources in and all that other good stuff is a completely foreign concept to me. So right now, I'm at the spot where I can go into a number of different directions. Um, I can actually probably go back to Google and I would. Let's see what I'm going to do here. Let's just say PED in sports. And I would probably start with this first article. It's a .org article, um, which to me means that it's from a scientific point of view and not necessarily opinion based. Um, but there was something down here further that was interesting when it said this little box, which I guess is the whole point of having these little boxes, because it would take you in some different directions that I may not have thought of before. Starting with basic questions: what are PEDs? What are the effects? So I more likely than not would go there as well. Obviously, when you're doing a research paper, the first thing you need to do is find out what exactly it is. And then when you're dealing with sports, it actually works out pretty well because it kind of goes into a sequential type thing that kind of outlines what questions people have and how you would actually go about doing that. Also, it's kind of interesting to see what direction they send you in. If they're sending you to .org sites or if they're sending you to .com sites. .com sites would tend to be a little bit more opinion-based versus fact-based. So of course here there's all these different articles. With various questions. There is a section down here about blood doping. And then at that point, that would probably lead me to so I guess as far as my process goes, the big thing for me is using the web to kind of go in different directions because a lot of times you think you know where you want to go, but sometimes you might see an article or see an opinion that might lead you into a different direction. So I tend to go through a lot of different sites and see where they might take me. So right now I've got a basic definition of blood doping dealing with red blood cells. It actually explains what red blood cells do, which means I don't have to go back and do research on red blood cells. Also, at this point, I would probably start writing down some of these sources and either copying and pasting them and placing them within a clipboard or a different file, so I would have them at the ready, so I would know where to go. But I understand nowadays you can do hyperlinks and all this other kind of crazy stuff as far as citing sources, so that's one thing I'm looking forward to figuring out. So at this point, I've got that. I would probably go to another article. This one's from the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. And this kind of gives me a little bit more official, I don't know if it's better information, but different information coming directly from the people that actually do the testing for these things. So So at this point, it would be a matter of me finding the different articles, taking notes on the articles, writing down pertinent information about where I found them, how to find them again, um, and then from there, kind of piecing together um, an outline from that and trying to figure out what direction I want to go in and how I want to say what I want to say. If I'm going to give something that's opinion based, or if I'm just going to kind of give some facts as to what it is I want to do. So I think that's it. So there you go. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Stop the recording.